everybody, and welcome to Cozy Cards and Crystals. My name is Joanna, and today I invite you to do a time travel with me through the month of February. So, this is basically a monthly review where I talk about my cards for the month that I've pulled in my year ahead reading, a crystal, a favorite crystal of the month, my decks that I worked with throughout the month of February, some TarotTube and podcast stuff that I enjoyed during the month, as well as some game stuff that I enjoyed during the month for you gaming nerds out there. So let's start right in. First, we're going to take a look at the cards for the month. So for me, I pulled the tarot card basically when I did my year ahead reading at the beginning of the month, or basically at the New Year's Eve. And for February, I got the Five of Wands. And then at the beginning of each month, I pull an accompanying oracle card, and I got Transformation. So for me, the Five of Wands is about a competition, basically. It's not a super serious, super heartbreaking conflict or battle. It is more a playful, competitive energy. And it can also sometimes talk about more of an internal conflict than an external conflict. At least that is my interpretation of it. And so when I pulled the Five of Wands for the month of February, this was pretty clearly talking about my internal chaos and stress and the lack of calmness and stability within me, because February is also an exam month. So I study law on a university, and in February there will always be the time frame where exams are written. So there is a lot of stress and anxiety and nervousness and a lot of study and learning to do. And so the Five of Wands spoke, for me at least, about that it will be a very stressful month. There will be a lot going on. It will be chaotic. Sometimes um, you can't really put your mind on what to do next or how you will manage to actually finish all of that stuff. And so that internal chaos and stress showed up with the Five of Wands for me. And then I pulled the card of Transformation. So, of course, when February is over, then that stressful time will be done as well. And all of that anxiety and worry and all of that will be released or put off my shoulders. Also, I've done a lot of internal work with the Five of Wands, being that chaos, because I am in therapy currently. So, with the Five of Wands and all of that stressful time that came up with the study and learning and exams that I have written, there was a lot of insecurity and a lot of internal conflict as well, comparing myself to others instead of staying true to myself. Um, and comparing the things that I do and rating the things that I do, um, by comparing it to somebody else, which probably has more experience than I am or has done these things longer than I have. And so, of course, their work or results will be better than mine, instead of comparing it um, to works that I've done from the past and seeing my progression. So all of that stuff has come up. And so there is an internal shakeup that leads to an internal transformation of being from insecurity to a little bit more secure way, of course, in slow and small steps, but we are working on it, as well as that insecurity or that unknowing of who I truly am when I peel off all the masks that I put on to fulfill the expectations of others. Um, so these two cards have really talked about and highlighted these two facts for the month of February. So now let's talk about the crystal that I've worked with in this month, and this is the bracelet that I was wearing, and it's basically all the different colors of mookaite. And mookaite is a mineral that is only found in Australia in a desert. It is kind of a jasper, but not 100% completely, because there's some organic substances that were there in Australia, in that seabed actually that dried out over millions of years, and the things that they have left, the minerals and the compositions, then dried out and mineralized with the help of quark, yes, of course. Um, and so that left mookaite. It really gives you that grounded energy and revitalizing energy, while at the same time it calms you and gives you a little bit more confidence and security. And that is exactly what I needed during the exam phase. And now let's talk about the decks that I worked with. So you've already seen a card from the Oracle deck that I worked with throughout the month of February. And this is it. It's an indie deck. It's called the Inner Compass Oracle. It's by Heather Herbs or Hopes. I hope I pronounced that correctly. I think she's a German creator living here in Germany. And as I got it, and the last time that I looked, you can get this on Etsy. I will have a link to where you can find this in the video description down below, as well as the link to the tarot deck that I will show you guys in a second. So, because the month of February was a pretty stressful month, it basically just was all around studying and learning for the exam. So I hadn't really a lot of time nor a lot of mental focus and energy left for doing a lot of readings or playing a lot of games or even reading books and stuff. So that is the reason why I only have one oracle deck and one tarot deck that I have worked with throughout the month. It is a pretty well balanced oracle deck. So you have growth, rest, strength, but also healing. So things that you can do or you need to focus on and do, and more of keywords or stages like new beginnings, revelation, focus, camera, just focus. Revelation, simplicity, abundance. But you also have some more challenging or shadow keywords like blocked. Some of the cards are reminding me of tarot, like the moon, or we had strength. There is a priestess card, I think, also in there. Where are the more shadow cards? There's the star, divine timing. So you can see there's storm, so we had blocked and storm, so you can see it is a pretty colorful deck as well. There we have the Empress, magic. So I really love this deck. I don't think it is too nice washed or too surface level. you can get a lot out of the collage work and the images as well. So a nice little deck that I haven't seen around a lot, actually. And so I don't think that I have put a lot of thought onto that. And then that borderless, more smaller edition that came out recently, I think now it is called the Amy Stern and Montefaber Tarot, but it's basically the same images, just borderless and on smaller cards. I have heard complaints about that one being actually too small, not for handling, but for actually seeing the details in the cards. And so I'm really glad that I pulled the trigger and got this older edition, because now they are basically like almost a normal tarot size. So they're small enough that I can handle them and big enough that I can still see and recognize what's actually on the card. And so this was the deck that I worked with throughout the month of February as my tarot deck. And these images are really, really detailed sometimes. I love how they look, because these are basically collage, but handed collage done with fabric and sewing. And using palettes and some stones and some different kinds of fabrics to create these images. And there goes the focus again. Um, and they're really pretty. I don't think that the images really, that the camera does these images really justice, because in person you can really see the different textures and the different fabrics and the sparkles if they use some sparkly things on there. And so when I saw this deck online, I wasn't really sold on it, but as I was holding it in my hands, it really won me over, because it is a whole different experience and a whole different look. And so actually, here we go. Let's show these guys together so that you can see what I mean when I say these two are the perfect pair, the match made in heaven. Because not only are they visually totally pleasing, they're both collage work, but they're more not that digital, more blended in collage, but more handmade collage. They're both a little bit more in that vintage or older feeling art style. They're both pretty colorful, but at the same time warm and not too bright or too much up in your face. And so visually they're working perfectly together. And also message wise, I really love how they interact with each other. So we have the Three of Cups and Guide. I mean, friendships can be guides or connections. Ace of Swords and Gift, the gift of a new idea, of a solution that is being made, of an aha moment, of clarity. Seven of Wands and Explore. Like, explore where you can set boundaries, where boundaries are needed, and where probably you have set boundaries that you don't really need. Explore how far you can go. The Four of Swords and change. Change the way you think, change your beliefs, your habits. The Fool and Inner Child. I mean, come on. The Fool as that naive, having fun, inexperienced, innocent being, and the inner child. So Don't be too serious all the time. Just have some fun. Let that inner child come out and play and enjoy life, actually. Or do some inner child work to release maybe some bad or challenging, painful experiences from the past that you then can be free to explore life and to go on a new adventure, create new things. So I really, really love these two decks. So now let's talk about the game that accompanied me throughout the month of February. As I already said, because of that completely stressful exam phase, I hadn't really enough time to play a lot of games or to play at all. There wasn't a lot of free time, and that little bit of free time that I have was during the evenings of every day. And then I was so tired and exhausted that I hadn't the mental capability or capacity to really play games that had a lot of story to them, where I really needed to remember where I was in the story and the different characters and all of that. So I actually just wanted to play a game that has a little bit of story so that it gave me a little bit of a different thing to think about and focus on mentally. Um, but that wasn't too challenging in the way that it played in its fighting system and not too complex in terms of story or character building. And so the accompanying game for the month of February was Grim Dawn. So Grim Dawn is an action role-playing game. It was developed and published by Crate Entertainment, and it is a game from 2016. So you will see on this channel with decks and with the games that I will talk about, they will probably be a lot of decks and games that aren't the freshly released, new, really exciting things that everyone talks about and that are hyped. But a lot of times you will find decks that and games that are out there for a longer time, maybe even for a few years now, but that are in my collection or that I love to play again, or maybe I have even recognized now. And so this was the case with Grim Dawn as well. Um, so it is an action role-playing game. It is set in a thematically dark fictional world loosely based on the Victorian era. And so basically you just walk through the different levels. You have some waves of enemies and monsters and stuff that you fight off while walking and exploring the map, and you will find some characters that give you quests and actually a lot of different books and letters and stuff where you can read the story basically and find out what had happened in the past that led to the situation the world is in at that moment where you're playing the game. So it's pretty chill to play because there are not a lot of cutscenes or story twists in a way. Not that there are no story twists or that there are no questions that arise. So the story is still interesting and you really want to find out what actually led to the state that the world is in right now. So it's basically it takes place in Cairn. It is a setting in which humanity has been brought to near extinction by a transdimensional war. So you start the game as a character that was possessed of an ethereal entity, and you nearly got killed by the surviving humans because they recognized that you were possessed, and so they hang you. And at that moment where that ethereal entity recognizes that the body that it possesses is about to die, it leaves that body. And fortunate enough, the characters or the other human beings recognize that and free you. And so now you're that hero that has, because of that position of the ethereal, a little bit more supernatural powers. And so you are fighting for the surviving human beings against the ethereals and other different creatures that are the result of some experiments that were taken and some religious beliefs and stuff. So now let's talk about TarotTube and podcasts. The last thing that I want to talk about today, since I haven't managed to read a book during this month, except for my study books for university, which you guys aren't probably interested in. Um, so I really enjoyed the hashtag TopTarotTrumps by MusingsbyMarscha on TarotTube. I haven't watched a lot of TarotTube, but this one was really fun to watch and to follow through because it is not only cool to see different cards and different decks and getting to know different decks, but also to revisit the major arcana and see all the different views, not only of the deck creators and how they decided to depict the same archetype in different ways, but also of the people that shared their views and did the VR and what they loved about their specific picks and how they see the major arcana cards. Of course, there is a lot of overlap because we come from the same tradition and same history, but there are a few nuances that are really interesting to see. And I also not only have explored or have seen new decks for me, but also new ways of seeing the major arcana cards and new TarotTube channels. So I actually found 3 or 4 different TarotTube channels that I haven't seen before and that I'm now subscribed to because I loved their way of doing their videos. And so that's always fun. And so this VR series actually does a few things in one. It deepens the understanding of the major arcana. It gives you something pleasing to look at with all of the different beautiful artworks, and it connects TarotTube together. And you can see or find a lot of different TarotTube channels. And so I really love that about this specific VR or video series that MusingsbyMarscha creates or created. And I'm looking forward to seeing the other different videos that are still to come. And lastly, I want to talk about one podcast that I found during the month of February, which is Death Becomes Us. Um, and I really enjoyed watching or actually listening to it. Um, it is a podcast curated by author and tarot witch Carly Latham and parapsychologist and paranormal investigator Melissa Morgan. I found this podcast because I followed Carly for a long time now over on Instagram. And so she posted, of course, on her Instagram about this podcast because she is a part of it. And it is actually on YouTube. I will have a link in the description box down below. And so you can listen for free to the episodes. And there are not super a lot of episodes out there right now, so you can still manage to rewatch all of the episodes so that you are up to date. Um, and they basically talk about everything that has to do with supernatural experiences and death. So they on each episode they have a different guest And you will hear different opinions about ghosts, about hauntings, what they actually could be. Like, are they really death people that have died and that are still here with us? Are there more like dimensional energies or beings that are on a different plane? Are they maybe connected to aliens or supernatural energies? Or are they even a manifestation of our energy that we put out there because we think all of the time that this place is haunted and this place is haunted? And because a lot of people think about this, um, this energy got put out there, and so they actually create a haunted ghost in that way. They are also talking about life after death, near death experiences, and all of that stuff. Different mediums, hunters. Um, so it's really interesting to listen to these episodes. So, as I said, I will have a link in the description box down below. And if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go on and listen to one podcast maybe and see if this is also something that you find interesting or good. All right, you guys. So this was my monthly time travel through February. I hope you enjoyed it. And thank you for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to my channel if you're new here or if you haven't already. Maybe comment down below your thoughts on the decks that I've shown you, on the crystals that I've shown you, and also let me know what your month of February was. I really enjoy watching all of the videos and monthly recaps that all of the other tarot tubers do. But if you don't have a YouTube channel, let me know down in the comments. Alright guys, thank you for watching. Until next time. Bye!